People who have came close to dying, what were your last thoughts? Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some r/ask Reddit posts from Reddit. People who have came close to dying, what were your last thoughts? I grew up in a small town literally split in half by a railroad and which had several trains pass through it daily. I can't remember anyone ever getting hit. Not even cars. Fast forward 30 some odd years, they just put a train in the North Bay that runs from Santa Rosa basically to San Francisco. It's been there just a couple of years, but damn, it seems like someone has gotten hit by it every month. At first it was like, damn, that sucks. I guess it's new. Then it was like, how the fuck are all these people missing a train coming at them at 65 miles per hour? There are warning lights everywhere. After the fourth or fifth person it finally dawned on me, oh, this for people too pressed for time obviously, or just too broke to take the train to the bridge. I wasn't held under, but got trapped. The pool I was in had old-style metal steel ladders with metal feet at the bottom that hooked inward and rested on the wall. They were hollow tubes and we'd been diving for pennies on the pool floor. I discovered that I could keep my penny treasures safe by hiding them in the hollow tubes of the ladder in the deep end. Except when I was down there adding another penny, someone got onto the ladder to get out of the pool, except they didn't ever actually get out. They were just sort of hanging out on it, and the pressure pushed the feet of the ladder down so hard, it pinched my fingers between it and the wall, trapping me. I was freaking out, almost out of air, and had just let it all out of my lungs. I was literal microseconds away from inhaling a chest full of water when the person finally got out and freed me. I came up blubbering and coughing and crying. My grandma was sitting on a chair just a few feet away, completely unaware of what had been happening. In fact, she had been chatting with the person who was using the ladder, which was why they'd stalled and took so long to climb out. I can't even imagine what would have happened if even a few more seconds had elapsed, and since then the thought of a water death is probably one of my most feared ways to go. Had one of those around a year ago. Fiancé was on birth control, hadn't been using condoms for months, she doesn't know if she wants to go through with having kids or not, and she calls while she's out of town with family to tell me she's really late on her period, with no signs in sight. Add to that our living situation, apartment, her a full-time college student, me a 20-ish burnout alcoholic with high blood pressure, palpitations, working full-time tech support for near minimum wage. Felt the left side of my face go slack, heart felt like it was beating out of my chest, felt it coming on, and I called 911 running into the street damn near naked in hopes to be found and resuscitated if worse came to worse. Doctors ran tests, kept telling me that I was too young to be having a real stroke or heart attack, likely just stress leading to a panic attack. Haven't had one, that bad, since, but goddamned, does it make you ready for anything. I remember laying in the hospital after the ambulance dropped me off and weighing my options of either calling my maybe pregnant fiancée to tell her what happened, or waiting for good/bad news before I really worried her. Worst night of my life, and that truly is saying something. First one happened when I was 18, thought I was dying. No specific way, just the feeling of I'm dying right now, holy shit I'm actually dying. 7 years later and I still get them 3 to 4 times a week. And I would say 2 to 3 of them, although my rational brain can recognize what it is, my panic brain thinks, what if this is the one, what if this time, it is a heart attack/stroke/seizure/brain aneurysm/allergic reaction/overdose, addict. It doesn't help that I've been a severe hypochondriac my whole life. It's pretty traumatizing to think you're dying multiple times a week. And although I consider myself to be intelligent and actually am very knowledgeable when it comes to medicine and physio/anatomy, the fight or flight overpowers that no matter how much information I have. Shitty part is, after so many failed ER visits and the fact that none of my family or friends believe me anymore, I wouldn't either, I've come to the point where I will completely ignore my health and any issues I have because 1, I'm terrified of being correct about some of the things I conjure up, and 2, no one would believe me anyways. I got an Apple Watch for this reason, hoping that being able to see what's actually going on with my heart would help with the anxiety/hypochondria, but in reality it made me more anxious because I was checking it so often and, from my personal experience, was incorrect frequently and would blink red on the screen. Call 911. Lil fucker lives in the sock drawer now. Going on for that long, the good news, it's unlikely to be a heart attack. To put it bluntly, you'd be dead by now if it were. I went to the ER around this time last year because I thought I was having a heart attack, was having chest pains for a couple weeks slowly build up, but I was only 30 so figured it was just something weird that would work itself out. The day I finally went, arm is going numb and my teeth hurt? I don't know how to describe it. But it was enough to panic me, so I went. They hooked me up to everything, and heart is not only fine but in above average health. I am an avid cycler, cardio is my jam. Turns out it was acid reflux, extreme edition. For whatever reason, the valve that prevents backflow from stomach to esophagus had just about given up its job entirely, and I was developing an ulcer. Literally just took over-the-counter Prilosec for about 6 months to give my body time to heal the ulcer, while cutting out acidic food and drink, tomatoes, coffee, etc., and I'm back to normal again. Point being, just go to the doctor. It might not be a heart attack but it sure as hell would have been nice to fix the issue sooner. This happened to my father-in-law but he just felt indigestion and moderate pain. About 12 hours and he went to the ER. They couldn't believe he was still alive. Unfortunately it also happened to my uncle, who was 15 years younger. He worked with a cousin and they drove home together. My uncle was swerving in the lane a bit and complained of seeing double. The cousin offered to take him to the hospital. My uncle said he couldn't afford it. Said he just needed to take a shower and eat. My cousins were home when he got home, around 8:30. He took a shower, he chatted with them a few minutes, took his dinner into the bedroom. He apparently died while he was eating. My aunt found him that night and it wrecked her life. She developed an eating disorder because she was afraid of having a heart attack, became a drug addict and her alcoholism worsened. She died a few years after he did from metastatic cancer. I remember thinking it feels so good to rest. I'm so happy I'm getting a nap. Husband has the baby, so he's okay. I'm so tired. Time to go to sleep. I remember looking at my husband and trying to smile because of how much I loved him and our son, then I closed my eyes feeling extremely happy. I had a postpartum hemorrhage 2 hours after my C-section and lost a metric fuckton of blood. Soaked the bed and puddled on the floor. My legs were still numb so I didn't know I was bleeding. My doctor told me months later, I asked, that it wasn't looking good for me. Long story short, I felt nauseous so the nurse left to get me Zofran. Right as she came into the room, I passed out. Husband said she whipped the blankets off me, saw what was happening then pulled a chain and some kind of code was played over the hospital sound system. I was in and out of consciousness. When I came to, I knew that there were at least 10 people working on me. Nurses were saying they couldn't get a blood pressure reading. I was being poked by a ton of needles trying to get blood and get meds in me. My doctor was shouting my name to get me to stay awake. Nurses were panicking because the ER brought the blood transfusion machine and said call us if you need help and peaced out. The nurses in the room couldn't get it open. None of it bothered me. It was such a neutral feeling towards the chaos, and the happy thoughts about naps and loving my husband and kids so much and knowing they're okay. The sense of peace I had and the desire to just close my eyes to sleep still haunts me. I don't know how I feel about it. I had the worst headache of my life and I couldn't stand, see or speak. I went to ER, was dismissed to PCP which took a week. PCP sent me back to ER with instructions. I was having a series of strokes due to a poop-induced RCVS. True story. It took 2 angioplasties and 9 days in the hospital for them to figure it out before I spent another week in ICU on my birthday. I honestly thought this was it, I was a goner, until I insisted on walking the unit. One can only lay down for so long once your legs start working again, kinda. I realized at that time, even though I wanted to die from all the beeping of monitors, pain, constant poking and prodding, feeling terrified, and the glass room I was in, it was at that moment I really comprehended how lucky I was to even be able to walk, let alone talk with my usual sass. The other time is when our drogue couldn't be deployed and our chute was packed so tightly that we spent a considerable amount of time trying to fix everything in mid-air while trying not to end over end to our imminent death. This was a tandem at a new DZ, I was the passenger. We landed in a slide but the moment I did, over the rush of almost dying, I looked up and said, "Not today Satan," and flipped the bird. The other time I was in a significant car wreck where I was hit at 60+ mph which crumpled my car and 2 others in front of me. My head and neck folded into the upper left windshield and popped it out. As my neck and head went sideways at a 90-degree angle with such force it broke the windshield, all I could think was, this is it. It wasn't. It turned out that it was indeed not the day to die. Sometimes I feel like I am in the movie Final Destination but somehow manage to beat death each time. But to be fair, I see life and death as merely a light switch and nothing more. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.